Okay, guys, hello and welcome to my live stream on this grey and horrible Sunday. And this is basically going to be my little live sales update. I didn't actually go out boot fairing like I did last weekend because I've simply got too much stuff to be getting on with at home, and I just keep on buying more and more, and I've got to just get on top of the stuff I do have. Plus, if I'm honest, I was being a little bit lazy. So I thought I would just do like a quick live broadcast where I can go through some of my more cool sales of the week, talk you through them, give you any information you have, and if you've got any questions, you can always leave them in the comment section, and I will answer them as best as I can. So I'm going to try to do this as a weekly thing if I can, because I think it's much more of an interesting way of making videos. Because if you do get any people watching, and luckily I think I've got a couple of people in the chat here. Hi to Darren, Sam. I can see Adam in there as well, and Paul Penders is there as well. So, thanks for you guys for popping in, and we'll get on to the video. Now, let's have a look. Hopefully, you guys can hear me properly and everything is working fine. If it is, if someone could just say that in the chat, that would put my mind at rest. But I'm pretty sure that it should be working just as it should be. Let me just have a look. I think everything is working fine, but I just have to make sure. I'm one of those people that that has to check these things, because otherwise it would just drive me crazy. Yeah, it looks like it's working okay. I think there's sound and everything, isn't there, guys? I'm sure if there wasn't, someone would mention. Anyway, I'm gonna get on with the items that I've sold this week. So basically, some of my more interesting, brilliant. Thanks for the update, guys. So I'm just gonna get on with some of my items. Now, the first item I want to show you guys is here. This is a Icebreaker merino wool body fit 260 men's top, and it's in double XL size. Quite an interesting item because it was just plain black. It was very thin. I saw this. You like, hey, carp fishing adventures, razor mic sounding crisp. Yeah, it's fantastic. I love it. Yeah, so getting back to this item, I'm going to go through this item, then any questions and stuff I'll answer as I go along, I suppose. What drew my attention to this is it looks like a very plain zipped cardigan jumper type thing, but it said it was made of 100% merino wool, so that automatically piqued my interest. Now, unfortunately for me, this actually had a couple of blemishes, and you can see here, for example, on the sleeve, there's like a little hole there. Okay, there's the logo. And there were a couple of holes somewhere on there was one on the sleeve, and there was a couple on the back side, on the lower back area. And I tried to photograph them, but with anything that's really black, it's very difficult to photograph, even if you've got a lighting setup, because your camera will overcompensate for the exposure, and it will end up giving you like a washed out photo. It's not a problem if you're using a proper camera, but I was using my phone camera because I'm finding it really easy to take photos on my phone, and then they upload to Google Drive, and it just makes the whole thing easier. But the downside is, on difficult to photograph subjects, it just doesn't cut it, in my opinion, compared to a proper camera does, because you can adjust exposure compensation. I know you can do it on the phone, but it's fiddly, it's a faff, and it just doesn't do it for me. However, had this been in mint condition, I could have gotten probably almost double what I got. But secondhand, used with holes, I got £20 for this jumper, which is fantastic. And I don't think I paid more than a couple of pounds for this, because it came in a massive job lot, a big bag of jumpers that I bought at auction quite a while back. So really nice first item to show you guys. Now, the second item I want to show you is not because it's valuable or anything, but this is a Pokémon game on the Nintendo DS. Now, smart reselling. Darren asks, are there sizes you would avoid or find they simply do not sell? I think eventually everything will sell. Any size will sell eventually, but I do think that the larger sizes for men's definitely move quicker. So obviously XL, double XL, the bigger the better. Actually, so I think I've found even 4XL stuff and triple XL stuff sells pretty quickly because it can be quite expensive. So I would say on that point, Darren, that yeah, the larger size the better. But I wouldn't necessarily not buy something. I would just expect maybe it to stick around for a bit longer than I would perhaps like if it was like a less popular size. So if it's like a men's jumper, but it's a size small, it may hang around a little longer than something like a large or an XL. But that's not the biggest issue. So moving on to this game, this is Pokemon Ranger on the Nintendo DS. Now, I'm not telling you guys to look out for this or buy it or it'll make you money because it won't. As you can see, it's only a £5.99 game. I got it as a job lot of games where it barely cost me anything. I got a bunch of DS games and it was just one of them. Now, the reason why I want to mention this is it's quite a specific thing. Now, I sold this game for $5.99 in November time or December time, and it was only $5.99 sale. So I thought, yeah, that's cool, nice and simple, in a second class envelope, and off it went. And about a month later, I got a message from the buyer saying they wanted to return the game, and I thought that was really odd, but I offer like a 30-day money back guarantee, and plus sometimes I just can't be faffing around with getting negative feedback or something over something so puny as a 5.99 DS game. So I accepted the refund. I said to him, you're gonna have to pay for it because I'm doing you a favor because I think you might just be outside of my returns policy. He was happy to pay return postage. And it later transpires why. I mean, I can't be sure that this is what's happened, but I relisted the item. I know this is a bit of a long story now, but bear with me. I relisted this game, Pokemon Ranger, and I got a couple of messages that were very interesting, and they were along the lines of, has this so-and-so egg been used up? Now, it turns out that if you play some of the other Pokemon games and you're really a hardcore player that wants to catch them all, some of them are only available by playing other games, and one of those games is Pokemon Ranger. So in order to catch a certain rare Pokemon, you need to have this game played, and this game will have in it a code for a certain egg or something, of which will allow you to catch some Pokemon that otherwise you won't be able to get no matter how good you are. So it's possible that the guy that bought it first off of me had played it, got what he wanted, redeemed the egg or whatever, and that was it. So it was an interesting one where I just had to kind of take it on the chin, I suppose. And I relisted it. I've sold it again, and like I said, I got the questions about the eggs, and I said assume that it's been used because I have no idea. I don't play this game, but that's something to bear in mind if you're buying this particular Pokemon game. You may need to check out whether the egg or whatever it is has been used or not. But that was something I found out, and hence why I put this in here. I didn't put this in here because it's like an awesome sale. $5.99. I mean, still made good profit on it, but it's only $5.99. All right. Egg thief, Abs. You're right. Egg thief. What he could have done, I can't even be sure of that. So you have to. He could have at least. He could have kept the game, but he used me as a rental service, I guess, and got my egg. But that sounds kind of funny, doesn't it? Use me as a rental service and got my egg. Okay, I'm going to move on to the next item now. Now, this is fantastic. There's a pair of Nike Free Run Plus 2s. These were like brand new in the box. Great trainers. I used... now, a tip for selling trainers is whether you're selling them new or used, is especially the Nike ones, is when you type in the 6-digit ID code that's on the tag of every Nike pair of clothing or trainers, pretty much, you can type it into Google because sometimes eBay won't have what you want. And oftentimes when you type it into Google, even if you find a store that's selling it abroad, they will have the correct colorway if you don't have it available. Say, for example, you get a pair of trainers with no box. So I do think that I do think it's worth pointing out because I did put in the color. I don't think it necessarily made a difference, but these were new with box anyway, and I got £50 for them. These were like the slightly older trainers which benefited from using the Apple, the Nike Plus system with the Apple thing, which synced with your iPhone 3GS and iPod. So that's a bit old school, but still £50, really great sale. These were actually something that I picked up pretty cheaply, so I can't complain with that either. So it's good profit there. Moving on. Now this is quite interesting. This was another item that was from a bag of jumpers that I picked up, and this is a vintage retro Puma tracksuit top. I've had this for quite a while actually. It's a bit worn. I'm not sure whether this was meant to be white or grey or silver, but it's definitely had a long life. The inside tag was just worn off. It was just not there. There was no kind of markings. The only reason I knew it was Puma is because it says Puma on the front, and the age of it you can just tell from the look, the material. Sneak08 says, "Hi Zahir, I think you should upload a profile picture to your YouTube profile. Will look better in your subscriptions." I will definitely do that, Sneaks. I haven't actually gotten around to doing that, but I will do that just so that your subscriptions can look that much better, because that's very important to me. So I will do that for you. But anyway, guys, getting back to this is like a vintage Puma tracksuit top, shell suit top. You can see it just looks 80s. It's proper old school. Yeah, they don't make them like this anymore. Probably for good reason, some of you will be saying. But I got it for, like I said, next to nothing, probably the equivalent of a couple of pounds at most in a bag of jumpers, in an auction job lot. And it kind of looks like an Arsenal themed top, but yeah, it's pretty cool. And it went for £15 considering. Yeah, Smart Reselling says mannequin makes such a difference on the photos. Yes, mannequins are a pain in the butt sometimes, because if you're selling clothes, I'd recommend, if you're selling clothes and other items, I'd recommend that when you're doing clothes, just set up yourself for a clothes type day, because then you can set up the mannequin and not have to worry about removing it or moving it to the side when you start photographing other items. But definitely a mannequin is well worth it, especially if you're selling coats and jackets. Whatever I do, I try to look for items that are going to be highly profitable. And in terms of clothing, you're going to make your most money in terms of margins, I think, when you're picking up jackets and things like that more often than not. And, you know, like hoodies from good brands as well, obviously, things like that go well. And I find that a mannequin really does help. It kind of makes the item, it gives it some shape, because sometimes clothes don't necessarily hold their shape when they're not, when they're just laid flat or something like that. Abs asks, how much did I pay for the mannequin? I believe I paid about £28. I got it off of eBay. It's not the best quality, I'll say. Like, the base is kind of cheap wood, and it's not the best quality, but it does a job, and the body is actually good. I bought you can buy them in different sizes. And I kind of chose to get it in I can't remember what size I got it in. I got it in like a medium size, like a medium chest size, because I found that way you can fit the larger clothes on as well. So I definitely would recommend that if you're looking at selling clothes, it's definitely worth getting. I really do think it's something that you should be looking to pick up there. Oh, I just popped over to my YouTube stream there. You can see I got 16 people watching, so thank you very much. I think I have anyway. I'm not sure. Okay. So that's that item gone. Next up, here is a bit more of an item that I look out for. This is a Crown personal stereo cassette player. Crown actually is not a brand, like that I'm au fait with. I didn't really know about. Hey, Polar Shek, how are you doing? I didn't really know about Crown as a brand at all, to be honest with you. I just didn't know. However, I saw this thing, and it's like a personal cassette player. I saw that it's massive. I mean, this thing is huge. You could knock someone out with it. It's heavy and big, and that screams quality. As soon as you see that, it's quality. it's the buttons pressed nicely, so whenever you see one of these in the boot fur or whatever, just click through all the buttons and make sure that when you click one that the one before it pops up. So press play, press stop, press back, rewind and forward, and make sure that they sound like they're working. And the thing that obviously drew my attention to it, and it was as simple as that, was the fact that it said Japan. I can't underestimate, I can't overemphasize, not estimate. So I can't overemphasize enough how important where something is made is. It really does matter an awful lot. So especially when it comes to vintage tech, people do appreciate items that are made in like the certain countries more than others. So when I saw that it said made in Japan, I thought, well, even though I haven't heard of Crown, I thought surely it's worth a go, and it was. I don't think I paid much for it at all. You can see it's a stereo cassette player made in Japan. Bit of a blurry photo there, um, and it sold for, as you can see, it's 20 quid. Minus the 260 postage, minus the fees, obviously, but I paid like maybe £1 or £2 tops, so good profit for me. So that was pretty interesting. Okay, moving on to the next item. This is a nice little pickup. This was a Nintendo Game Boy Advance bundle. So pretty standard stuff, really. I got $39.99 for this. I think I paid like a tenner for it. Now, a couple of things to note here. Polishek asks, do you guys sell sometimes items you've been given for free? Well, I mean, if you've been given it to resell, yeah, why not? I mean, it's there to sell if you don't want it. If you've been given it to sell, then great. If someone obviously has given you something as a gift, I'd think twice about selling it because kind of a bit mean. But that's a different matter. But anyway, there we go. Here's a Game Boy Advance SP in blue. It's not the more sought after 101 version. What I mean by that is if you look on the back of a Game Boy Advance SP, you'll see this label here. And you can see it says model number AGS and it says -001. That's what you're going to see most of the time you're finding these. However, if you see one which says 101 on it, that will make it more valuable than a regular Game Boy Advance SP by about £20-30, sometimes more, depending on the condition and the type. Now, that is to do with the backlight. The 101 model had a better screen backlight on it, and is rarer, made in smaller numbers, more sought after, as usual. But anyway, here's a bunch of games. None of them are particularly special. I looked up the prices on them, and none of them were magical in any sense. It had the original charger as well. Now, I did make sure that all of these were genuine because some of them, as you can see, have an E on them, which signifies that these are an American game. So these games were probably bought over in the States, and a lot of copied Game Boy or fake Game Boy Advance games are also made in the States. But a very quick way of telling whether something is legit or not is first look for the tri-wing screw, which is it's a special type of screw that Nintendo things use, but also on the actual board where the contact is, it should have Nintendo printed on the circuit board. Fake games don't bother with that, so that will tell you. So that will be that's something to look out for. So it's an easy way of making sure you're not selling fake games, because if you send out a fake game to someone, it will annoy them. I in the past got hold of a copy of a Final Fantasy game on Game Boy Advance, and I was asking about £25 for it, and the buyer was let me have a look. The buyer was very keen to make sure it wasn't a fake game because he'd bought game before on eBay and it turned out to be fake. So when you can say that it's genuine, that does help. So there you go. Make money online. Thanks for the info on the Game Boy. I'm looking to get into video games niche more. The info will really help. Ads. There's a lot of people out there that are into video games as well. I'm glad that the info helped. There's a lot of information on video games. It's probably one of the most information saturated niches out there, so you'll have no problem on getting that. Hey, Fake Rachel, Hazer here. Thanks for the tip on the printing. No worries at all. And you saved me a fortune on buying those sticky labels because I'm going to be buying A4 paper now because it's a lot cheaper. Polishek, you're doing really well, man. More like the Craigslist hunter. If I could be even 10% as good as the Craigslist hunter, or or Chad, the golden finger picker, I would be very, very happy. It's something that would make me very pleased with myself. Okay, so we'll move on. Now, here is a nice vintage item. I paid £3 for this at my local auction. £3. No one wanted it for some reason. And I had that lovely moment, actually, I can share with you guys, that when I had bought it, a guy came and sat next to me and said, "Oh, did you buy that radio?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he was like, "Oh, I was just out, I missed it. Oh, would you sell it?" And I was like, "No, I'm into my radios. I really, really enjoy messing with them," which is true. I do enjoy them. But as soon as someone says that to you, you know you've got something decent. And it was quite a heavy radio, but I paid £3 for it, and it's an old valve radio. Now, these things are awesome to look out for, and are worth buying they're worth buying even if they're not in working order. Now you can see this thing has its own case that's like a flap on the front here, which lifts up and it reveals the radio. There would have been a logo of the manufacturer there, but that's kind of fallen off a long time ago. Here's a close-up. You can see the buttons are grimy. You can see the case has seen a difficult life, and you can open the backs on these quite easily. And this didn't have a plug on it, so I wasn't prepared to faff around to test it, to be honest with you, because I don't have the time really to do that. Maybe I should have done in hindsight, but I was like, I had so much stuff to list. It's something that I would definitely look into in the future, I suppose. And there you can see, if you see those things inside of a hi-fi or a radio, that'll tell you that it's a valve radio, old school. And you can see here that it's got the model number, the serial number, and that's the brand there, Pi. And even though it's in pretty rough condition, it went to a lovely radio collector and paid £35 for it. After postage, etc., I still made a good profit considering I paid £3 for it and it went for 35, and it was not working. If it had been working, it would be worth a lot more. Smart Reselling asks, since you are getting more and more into electronics, would you also consider looking into refurbishing them? Possibly, but refurbishment takes time, and sometimes you might have a tough time finding parts, and I don't think I've got the skill level to do it properly. If you're going to do these things, you want to do them properly, really restore them to the form of glory. And if you can do that, you can make a lot of money. But at the moment, I don't think my skill set is there. But it's something I'll definitely consider, and I have done with certain electronics. I'm quite happy to pop open an old iPod, for example, and fix that if it needs to be. But stuff like this with valves and things, it's not quite in my realms of ability just yet. But anyway, that was a nice flip. £3 to 35 takeaway postage and fees. Postage was about £5. Okay, moving on. Now here's another item. This is a pretty cool one. This is a Technics SLPG 490 compact disc player. Now I picked this up for about £5. Tested it out, works beautifully. And I sold it for $38.99. There's not really a lot to say, except that people give this stuff away. I saw in the same week as me selling it for £39, someone had this up at auction for £5, collection only. It wasn't too far from me, but I just didn't want to drive. I had so much going on. But £5, no one even bid on it. So you can pick these things up. Hi, Michael. Have you missed much? No, I don't think you've missed a great deal. I've still got quite a few items to whistle through, so there's still quite a lot of cool stuff to go through. So hopefully you'll still get some stuff. So it's not too bad. But yeah, I mean, the very same week that I sold this, like I said, someone failed to sell this for £5. Failed to sell it for £5. Now, that is very telling. Now, again, there's certain things you look out for. This is a Technics player, a CD player, made in Germany. The fact that it's made in Germany will add value to it. people do like things that are made in Germany. You can see I've taken all the photos of the blemishes. There was a slight ding on the top side as well. There was a scratch there. I made sure I took photos of all the blemishes. And like I said, made in Germany. It was worked beautifully. Tested it out on my hi-fi, and I got 38.99 for that. So, and in the same week, someone failed to sell the same thing for a fiver. I kind of regret being so bone idle that I didn't bother to drive a few miles to pick it up. But these things do pop up quite regularly. CD players, people still play CDs because when you listen to a proper hi-fi with a CD, quite frankly, it shits all over any digital music you guys may be listening to. And I know CDs are digital as well, but the music is recorded on them a far greater bit rate than what iTunes or Amazon's music store are going to be pumping downloaded to you. And if you've got decent speakers, the difference is night and day in audio quality. So a lot of people are still using hi-fis, and a lot of people are still listening to compact discs. And here is Bon Jovi, Crossroads, which is a great album, by the way, guys. And you should listen to Bad Medicine whenever you want to be cheered up, because it's a great track, especially if you've seen Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. Okay, Isaiah just posted a clock on the Facebook group. What do you think about it? How would you list it? I will have a look at the clock in a moment and let you know. I like to hear calm and relax mode in terms of making vids. I really enjoy that level of calmness. Thanks, Polar Shek. I really appreciate you saying that. I am generally pretty laid back. I tried to keep cool, as it were. But anyway, guys, like I said, these are 10 a penny. Keep an eye out on CD players. I may make some videos in the future on how to kind of hook up a cheap hi-fi setup that you could use to test things like CD players, and that would help you guys out to make sure that what you're buying is fully functional. And if it's not functional, so you could at least accurately describe any faults, because people will still buy this stuff with faults because they may be able to repair it. Cannot beat the audio quality of the good old quality of YouTube converted music. That's making me sick. Do you sell your electronics with original plugs attached? And if so, have you had any issues with Hermes regarding them? To be honest with you, I do send them with the original plugs attached. I've got no problems doing that. And I tend not to send electronics via Hermes, because on an item like this is £39, but it weighed probably about 3 or 4 kilos. So it'll cost me about £5.80 via Hermes to post. For about £6 something, you can use parcel to go. I think works out about £7 when you include all the fees. I use UPS now for the kind of tech stuff, because they deliver very quickly, normally next day, and they've got no issues with this kind of stuff as far as I know. So that for me that's the answer to that. But I have sent plenty of stuff through with plugs on Hermes. I mean, Hermes don't cover you for electricals anyway, so when you're sending it via them, you have to kind of have to just accept that you're throwing the dice, as it were. Okay. Next item, another hi-fi separate, guys. So this is a company called NAD, N-A-D. So very interesting name there, I'm sure you'll agree, NAD. And this is a stereo tuner. So basically, in the olden days, we used to have hi-fis where you used to have an amplifier, you used to have a stereo, a CD player, a cassette deck, maybe a mini disc deck, etc. So this is a stereo radio, and made by a company called NAD. Very good quality company. It had a bit of a blemish there, you can see on the side. Tested it out again using the connections on the back. This one was only made in Malaysia, so I wouldn't want someone to look at. I suppose you've got to be careful. I know I really do harp on about buying stuff that's made in Germany, made in Japan, or whatever, and here I am showing you something that's made in Malaysia. But you have to kind of be. You have to think. So, for example, I know about my hi-fi, so as soon as I saw the manufacturer, NAD, it does say designed in London, England, but they're a good company. First bushes and now nads. Yep, that's right, Darren. That's definitely the way my mind works. It's drawn to bush and nad. It's just the way I am, guys. I'm sorry. But Sneaks, have to say your video with Sam and Sean last week was brilliant. Thanks for that. I have just to mention, actually, guys. I'll give them a shout out at the end as well. But yeah, the SNS show is very funny. You should definitely check out their channels. They do it on a Sunday. I'm hoping they're going to do one tonight, but they've not announced anything. But I'll talk about that at the end. But yeah, NAD Electronics, guys, good brand, stereo tuner. I mean, so that's something you just have to know, I suppose. NAD are decent. But anyway, I paid a fiver, I think, for this tuner. Tested it, made sure it works. Very important, obviously, because it will affect the value massively. And I got £35 very quickly. If anything, I undersold this a little bit. I could have probably gotten 40, 45, maybe even 50 if I'd waited long enough. But I'm testing the waters in terms of items. Some items I stick high prices on and I stick to them. Some I don't. Okay. Moving on, guys. Now, this is me going back to saying, look out for things made in Japan and Germany, etc. Because this is a vintage high-low angle Stitz tripod. I've never heard of. I mean, I like my photography a little bit. I'm not a pro or anything, so don't start, insinuating or guessing that I am, because I'm really not. But I didn't know Stitz as a company. I really didn't know. I don't know what Stitz was as a brand. And this was a tripod that I saw in my local charity shop. It was still wrapped. It looks like it's never been used, but it wasn't boxed. And it just says Stitz high-low angle tripod, and it had the model number. And I was just looking at it, and it just looks like a regular tripod, but it feels good quality. So obviously, I looked to see where it's made. And as soon as it said made in Japan, I thought, well, it can't be that crap then, can it? And that's how I function. So there's really nothing complicated about this. And you can see I put in the title when I can, made in Japan, if I've got nothing else to put in the title. And I paid £3 for it, and it sold for £20. So it didn't stick around too long either, maybe within a month and a half, maybe tops. From £3 to £20 for a used tripod. It was kind of like new, really, but I didn't want to. I don't like to kind of push my luck. It's always best to under promise and over deliver, in my humble opinion. Guys, thanks very much for popping in the chat. I really am appreciative of it. I've got to say, it's pretty freaking awesome. I'm humbled by you guys doing that. It's really cool, and all the comments and questions are much appreciated. So keep them coming. As I power on, I've still got quite a few items to go through, and I'm gonna go in a bit of detail so you guys get a feel for why I'm buying what I'm buying. So £3 to 20, solid sale. All right, moving on. Again, this is something. Is it better than the one you use for photos for eBay? Lol. Carp fishing. I'm using my phone for photos now. I don't even use a tripod at the moment. It's just more convenient, and I found that lighting makes more of a difference than the photo. I still prefer a digital SLR camera to a phone camera, but for taking photos of bits of electronics and things, I'm quite happy to use my phone. And most of the photos you're seeing are taken on my phone, which, if any of you are interested, is the Nexus 5X, LG Nexus 5X, I think. Okay, all right. Reselling is awesome. Yes, it is. It is awesome. Okay, here's something to keep an eye out on. This was at my local auction house, live auction house. Guys, I can't stress enough as well, if there is a live auction house, it's worth popping in to just get a feel of it at least. I paid £2 for this MP3 player. I didn't have enough time to research it. I didn't know what storage size it was or anything. It was one of those items I'd missed because I keep it in the little cabinet at the front, and I only saw it when they brought it out to do the bidding. It was, bidding dropped to £2. No one bothered to bid on it, so I bought it for £10 plus, sorry, £2, not £10, £2 plus the fees, which were quite small because it's a small auction, so it was about £2.20 I would have paid in total, and flipped very quickly for £20. So it's not all about vintage Walkmans. You can sell relatively new digital music players. So this is a 4 GB MP3 player in black from Sony, um, and it sold very quickly for £20 and nice and easy to post because it's basically the size of a USB memory stick. So you can just see there, I did a nice little close up of it while it was switched on. I tried to take a photo of the back, but it was blurred. And I just took a few extra photos. Just take as many photos as you can. There's a sharper photo of it. More photos the better, obviously, and obviously test it out as well. Make sure that it's functioning as it should be functioning. All right, now here's one of my coolest sales recently. I love this. This is pretty fantastic. I absolutely adore this sale. This is a Sanyo C30 Ghetto Blaster boombox retro item. Really awesome item. I tested it fully. It's in great working order. These speakers are detachable, and again, this follows the magic rule that it was made in Japan. But saying that, ghetto blasters in general are very hip. They're very trendy at the moment. People love buying them. Some of them fetch ridiculous, and I mean ridiculous amounts of money if you get the right one. Sam's going, all right, see you guys later, Sam. Thanks for popping in, appreciated. And this thing is just fantastic. Detachable speakers, like I said, radio player, cassette player as well. And it was loud. It was pretty loud. It came out with a good quality sound. New old generating. Yep, that's true. And you can see I've taken some close-up shots of the graphic equalizer, and the radio there. Really nice bit of kit. On the back, there was a bit of yellowing to the plastic. You'll often find that on vintage electronics, the plastic can yellow over time. That could be as a result of being left in sunlight, or it can be as a result of being in a smoking household. I'm not sure which. The smoking ones you can usually tell because it can wash off. The gunk, the yellowness can wash off. But these Ghetto Blasters are really good buys, and you can see there it's got audio, external line input, so you can test it with an iPod, etc. as well. And you can see there the magic words at the bottom: Sanyo, made in Japan, model C30. And again, I think I paid about £5 for this item, and it has gone for a £70 sale, so pretty damn good profit there. Do you find your vintage electronics go to any prop studios or home buyers mostly? Most of them go to most of them are going to home buyers. I've sold a couple of items to like studios and things, but generally these are going to home buyers, or they're going via the GSP program abroad to someone. So it kind of depends. But yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if an item like this did go. And if you are aware that you've seen or bought something that has been used in a movie, mention the movie in the title, because people will often search for the movie as well. So they might, if this was in an old movie, you could also mention the name of that movie. But yeah, this thing is freaking cool. I mean, it's just awesome. It was fantastic. And believe it or not, it's quite easy to package because it was quite light. And once you detach the speakers and everything and bubble wraps, it was quite a doddle to package up. So fantastic item. Now, next item. Now, this is something that I wouldn't have normally gone. Paul Penders asks, was that a buy it now price? Yes, it was a buy it now price. And Polo Shek, you're too kind. I wish I was like Craigslist Hunter or Golden Fig Picker or any of those guys. But I'm doing my best to buy stuff that I enjoy buying, and that's what we should all be doing. We should all be looking to buy what we like to buy, because you'll be more passionate about it, you'll know about it better, you'll describe it better, you'll photograph it better, and you'll sell it better and at better prices. Now here's something that I wouldn't have normally picked up, but again, it just looks cool. This is something that maybe Ken Chapman might have been interested in picking up, I don't know, but this is pretty cool. I picked up a big stack of these Ordnance survey maps, and I mean a big stack, probably about that thick worth of them, and I paid 50 pence for the whole lot. which is pretty awesome. And this sold pretty quickly, and I'm not sure whether we underpriced it or not. But to be honest with you, I don't really care. I've got quite a few of them, and they're not going for huge money because I haven't got any of the really old ones. I think these are all around the 1950s. What I've seen with Ordnance maps, by the way, guys, is if you can find some which are on cloth and are from the 1900s, etc., then you can be in some good cash there. But nice simple photo of the front and the back, and this sold pretty quickly. Went in a padded envelope for £5, large letter. I didn't have to send it as large letter, but just to make sure it got there comfortably in the same condition that I had it at, and £5 gone, and I'm now in profit on the rest of the deal, which is fantastic. So I'm very happy with that. Next up, here is an audio book. It's by Ngaio Marsh. She's passed away. This is a 8 CD unabridged audiobook. I think I got this for like 50p, and it's been with me for a while. Not too long, maybe a couple of months. And it sold. Pardon. It sold for £15. Oh god, sorry about that. That's horrible. Alright, so that sold for £15, so I'm pretty happy with that. Nice little sale. Audiobooks, as you guys know, are worth looking out for, worth picking up. We all know that the Harry Potter ones, etc., and the BBC ones are worth decent money. But if you see an unabridged audiobook, it's worth always scanning it quickly into your Amazon app just to see whether it has any value and quickly checking on eBay. In this particular case, I stuck on eBay rather than Amazon FBA because I don't believe there was any precedent for it selling on Amazon FBA at all. Okay, Polashek, thanks for popping in, and I'll see you soon. But yeah, for £15, can't go wrong. Really happy with that as well. Okay, next item. We're getting near the end of the items. I think there's about 6 or 7 more to go, guys. So thank you for sticking with me, whoever is still left. And here it is. This item I picked up last weekend at the boot fair. This is a pure Evoke 2 radio. I paid £5 for it, knowing that it was potentially faulty. The guy said that he could get the display to light up, but it wasn't going any further. I thought I may be able to get it going, maybe trying like a combination of buttons to do a hard reset. It didn't quite work out for me, but I still, even though it was faulty without mains power, etc., still managed to flip it for £20 minus the fees and the postage, so still make a profit on it. So I'm quite happy with that. Carp Fishing Adventures asks, how long would you look to hold on to stuff before looking to lower the price? I try not to do that. I try to price it competitively in the first place, and then I try to focus on just listing more. I found that in the past, when I did do that, when I did get nervous that something hadn't sold and I dropped the price, it still doesn't mean that the item sells. There was a time where I was really desperate to sell an N64 Pikachu edition, and I had it originally priced at like £100. I kept on dropping it and dropping it, and at one stage I had dropped it to £50, and I still hadn't sold it for some reason. And then I thought to myself, what am I doing? And I put it up to £80 and left it. And eventually, guess what? When I put it up to 80, it sold for £80. And I was potentially going to have let it go for £50. And that's a higher demand item, like a Pikachu N64. And from that moment onwards, I thought to myself, actually, just be competitive when you list the item, and then just forget about it and just list more rather than constantly tweaking your prices. That's my advice on it. I try not to dabble too much with my prices. But anyway, like I said, guys, £5 for this. Faulty, sold it for 20, so pretty happy with that. Moving on, this is another item I picked up just this last weekend at the boot fair. I bought this for £3. It was damp. It was a bit wet. I haven't looked at the clock yet. I haven't looked at Facebook. I will have a look at it later, once I got to the end, and then I'll do it. Yeah, if I'm worried, I suppose I'd update the photos and descriptions rather than lowering the price straight away. because lowering the price is just panic. It's just natural that you're going to panic and do it. It's not a fair reflection of the market value that you can get on certain items. And a good case in point is how many times do you guys sell stuff for more than it's been sold via auction or via cheaper buy now? We do it all the time, so we should be aware of that. Here is, like I said, a Sony CD stereo cassette recorder. I bought this last week for £3. Good condition, had a bit of yellowing from it being stored badly, but it was in good working order. I tested out all the functions, the CD, the radio, the cassette, and that £3 sold very quickly for not just for £29.99, for £30. And I personally think that's a great little flip there, minus postage. Postage wasn't too bad, probably about a fiver. I can't remember who I chose. Was it Hermes, I think, on this one? But yeah, it really good little flip there for me, from £3. So even though it's a generic little player, this isn't made anywhere fancy. I think this is just made somewhere in China or wherever. But it works. It's still in demand. People still play cassettes. People still play CDs. People are still looking for a portable system. So nice little sell there. Next item. Okay, this is something that's a bit different. It's a some bit of retail arbitrage. It's not something I do often, but I walked into my local Tesco the other day, and they were clearing through these Lego minifigures, Series 2 Simpsons Lego minifigures, and I bought them all. They cost me 60 pence each, and there's 57 of them. So it was about £33 or something like that when it all added up, and I've just sold them for 80. So with free postage. The thing is with these, you can feel them and find out like which figure is which to complete the set. But I wasn't going to do that. I was going to just sell them sealed, and whoever buys them can have the fun of looking through to see how many complete sets they have got. Paul Penders asks, so are you just checking price on Amazon and eBay completed? Pretty much, Paul Penders, yeah, I just check Amazon and eBay because that's where I'm selling. I don't really sell on Gumtree or Facebook that often. So those are the main prices that I will check, and not just completed. You do look at what the item is selling for currently, and if there's any on the market. Looking at completed gives you obviously a good idea of what they have sold for, tells you what they've sold for, but it doesn't necessarily indicate what the item is currently able to sell for. So that's that. Next item. Now, this is a mega cool item, guys. This is a Pokémon Mewtwo baseball cap. Really cool. It says like number 150 there. I guess he was the 150th Pokemon. Now, I bought this absolutely ages ago, and I paid 50 pence for it when my daughter was really heavily into Pokemon. She wore this for ages. I got a lot of good use out of it, so it's in pretty used condition. So then once she's bored of it, I paid 50 pence, and I sold it for £17, 16.99, and this is going to go to the global shipping program. So very pleased with that sale. All right, we're down to our last couple of sales to show you guys. Next item is the Sega Mega Drive 1 bundle. This one actually, good working order, comes with a Sonic game. I bundled it. It's got the original power supply. I did mention that the power supply can be a bit funny when you move it when in use. Stuck to my price for £35. I got this in a job lot of consoles from the auction that I paid £20 for. I think I got this. I got a few games, and I got a PlayStation 1 audiophile version. So it's okay. It's not a massive profit, but £35, pretty happy with that, considering I've still got some games and things left. Also, a little tip, always make sure you take photos of the serial numbers and use them as well, just in case someone tries to return you an item that's different, just so you can at least try to question the sale or the buyer if you feel at all suspicious. But in most cases, it's nothing to worry about. Final item, guys. So thank you for sticking with me. This has been now going on for a long time. I'm not sure how long this video has gone on for, but quite a while. But final item is this. Again, an item I picked up last weekend for £3. This is the Prinz Oxford movie editor. A lot of people mention that this was the Dixon's own brand. I didn't know that. And normally own brand manufacturers aren't great. And let's have a look. Prin's Oxford movie editor there. £20 was before commission. So with commission, it would have been about £22, I think. Yeah. Darren, that's for you, that answer. As you can see, it's in pretty used condition, this movie editor. It's one of those real editors. They put your 8mm film in and you view it through that magnifying kind of area. But I tried to take a photo of the magnifying area and you can see it's pretty grotty looking. It needs a bit of TLC, but I paid £3 for this item and it sold for a whopping £25. So I've got to say, I'm really, really happy with that. So guys, that was the final item. I've got to say thank you so much for everyone. We've been going for 50 minutes. You know, wow, that's quite a long time. But yeah, we've been going for 50 minutes. I hope you guys have enjoyed the stream. It says there's 26 people watching, which is fantastic. Thank you very much. If you guys have any more questions, obviously leave them in the comment section. And you know, I will answer to your radio or whatever it was on the Facebook group. I'll have a look at it and let you guys know what I think. But yeah, I'm really impressed. Thank you guys for popping in and watching. I hope you found the video useful. If you did, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. And I will aim to do this again next weekend. And hopefully I'll be putting a few more videos up during the week as well. So brilliant. Thanks very much for watching, guys. And I will see you next time.